Okay, this is Mantua Hatchery. There's that rock chuck there on the wall. This is the very head end of the hatchery. And I never did talk in any of these pictures, so I'll go ahead and narrate it while I'm filming this. Mantua Hatchery. This is Maple Springs right here. I started working here in 1971. Got hired on. I was the first one at the fish hatchery. It was at the old hatchery. At this time the hatchery had been rebuilt, and we had a new hatchery which was built with recycled water, biofilters at the side of the hatchery and all. Okay, now on our left is the lower Maple Springs. I must have had a fixation on this rock chuck here. So that's lower Maple Springs right here. That has since been filled in and covered completely. Now this is upper Maple Springs. The water comes just right out of the mountain there, the base of the hillside. Part of this water here is used for irrigation water. A lot of bugs flying over there. There was always a large hatch of dragonflies on the water. Here's up the hill above the fish hatchery. There's a new fish hatchery right there. Below my house, it was right up in the corner there. Keep bumping the thing. It's the hatchery building right there. The raceway's beyond them. The blue covers shaded the fish. My house. Like I say, this is 1989 when I took this. There's part of the old hatchery back there. The old fox pen run. And then the lower pond, settling pond. Now I keep zooming in on here. This is the old fox pen runs, and I had a couple of my horses out in there at the time. This is before I got the sulfur horses, the Spanish Mustangs from the Mountain Home Range. The box there, I kept a deer. This is where I kept my deers, in this little area here. Frankie. All of this area was a state property, and when I was able to, I'd keep my horses there when I got the sulfur horses. All of this field was owned by Steve Jepson, and Billy Jepson had the west side. Now I'm zooming in towards my property. My property is right behind this place. It's right in this area here. And I kept some buffalo in there. It's Mantua Reservoir. This is the town of Mantua. Looking up, this is Meadow Road. It's where our property was on. Our son has built a house on there. We were planning on building, but didn't. Ended up coming to Hamilton, Montana. All of that area out there, this area is all full of houses now. It's changed quite a bit. Mantua Reservoir. It was a good place to live. We enjoyed it there. The property was owned by, I guess Utah. Yes, what they call it? I forgot. There's Beatrice Foods owned it. You know, the Beatrice Foods company. Utah Byproducts, that's what it was. They called the area. They raised fox back here, and all the place where the hatchery raceways are was all mink sheds there. They would process the the mink, skin them out, and put them on forms, the skins in this building here. There was a barn out in that area. Like I say, my deer, he's in the corner there. He actually the deer was able to go out through this entire area. Like I say, I put my horses out there. I even put the Spanish Mustang horses, sulfur horses, in there with them. One time I went out and Frankie, my stallion Chance, had bit him in the butt, and he had a mark there. Oh, I thought that was quite funny. Had a lot of good times and experiences there at Mantua. Went fishing out on the reservoir and hunting up in the hills, a lot of hiking. Now this is from our house, looking out over the raceways. Used to go hiking up there all the time, riding my horses and all. Didn't ride the sulfur horses, the Spanish Mustangs. Had so many of them, I didn't have time to train any of them. Just had them halter broken and gentled. That's where I was standing taking the pictures previously, is up there on the hill. It was good there, a good life. Just lived right where I worked. That's where I was filming from. It's where that tree is up there. That pine tree. It's all private land there. Up on top. It's our house again. It's all state housing. The assistant was in the back house. They built a new house there now. Tim Moulton. He was my assistant there for a lot of years. Also, Kirk Smith was there. These are the little fish and raceways here. We mainly did Bear Lake cutthroat for a lot of years. In the water there out of the springs was 48 degrees. That cold water, the fish grew really slow. So when they stock them, this is the entrance room. When we stock them, they were small. That's the receiving room. The panels talk about the Bear Lake Cutthroat project. Indoor office. Look outside and see stuff out there. This is inside the office, our office there. Kent's desk was over there. This is my desk right here. The restrooms to the left, going out, goes into the rearing room here. We had 48 of these. These are 6-foot diameter fiberglass circular tanks. 48 of those, and then far back there was 16 5-inch or diameter tanks. This is our 5-foot, 5-inch. Wouldn't very many fish in that. This is a smaller, one real small tank. I think it was 4-foot diameter. We had put some display fish in there. Now all the water going into this hatchery here was all pumped. Had pumps outside. And the first year we started it up, I told the state they needed, this is the fry in the tanks. I told them they needed to put an alarm to our house out there. This is a phone ringing here. The alarm was, sounded a heck of a lot louder than this. But anyway, I told them they needed to put an alarm, and sure enough, I went out. It was I guess it was Thanksgiving morning. I went out at 5 o'clock early to get started, and I heard the alarm going on. I couldn't hear it from inside the house. When I got out, you hear how noisy it is in there. When I got out into the room, it was just silent, other than drip, drip, drip. And I looked in the tank. The tanks had all drained out. No water was running. The pumps had tripped off. They were recycling too much, got hot and tripped off, and all the fish were dead. It was 264,000 fish, I believe. They were about 6 inches long. In the recycle system, the water ended up during the summer warming up. And anyway, they were all dead. I was able to salvage about 3,000 live fish. The rest of them we just dug up. The raceways weren't built at that time. And we had all the fish inside the hatchery building here. We were going to stock them out much longer, but the construction workers went out and dug a big hole for me, and we buried them. These are all the incubators. That's where we put our eggs, incubate the eggs. Okay, that was it. There was the pumps were down in the basement there, and there's always a noisy place inside the hatchery building. It was just, I don't know, it's probably why my ears don't work too good right now. These are the old buildings. That goes up to the assistant's house. This building right here was used for processing and freezing fish. They used to raise fish commercially at the old hatchery there. This shows the old raceways. We had, first 5 years, had States broodstock. I was raising the States broodstock in there. And then once we had the hatchery building there going, moved them all down to the J. Perry Egan hatchery, which became the States broodstock hatchery. We went into raising Bear Lake cutthroat. Now this is my dear Frankie. Somebody brought him to us over to the hatchery. You can see my mare out there, Queen, back. She died a couple years before I got the Mustangs, the sulfur ones. Now Frankie is probably going on, maybe 2 years old here in this picture. He was pretty gentle, but he would go after people if they ever went in. Even me. He actually, jumped on me one time. I had Frankie for 12 years. We had to get rid of him because they closed the hatcheries to the public because of whirling disease. Didn't want to get the whirling disease in the hatchery. He's shedding his winter hair here, so he looks pretty ragged. And he's a lot younger here. But anyway, we had to get rid of him. He ended up going to Utah State University, the only ones that I could find that would take him. I think they did experimental work. I never knew what happened, but they really didn't want to go. No. But anyway, he was interesting. He was a lot of fun to have. The corners of this area there, he would get up. There was wire right in the very corner because they had fox that didn't want him to get out. So he would go over there and he'd go up on his hind legs and stick his antlers into the wire hanging up there. And one time I went out there and I found him just hanging by his head from the wires with his feet up off the ground, just hanging there looking around. And he finally shook himself down, got off of it. He did some crazy things. He got out twice, and I could call him, get him back in. One time my brother-in-law was hunting up above, and Frankie went up to him, and he didn't see him, caught him by surprise, and he was, as my friend, our brother-in-law, and his friend wanted to shoot him, but Dave said, hey, there's something wrong here. That's Ron's deer. And he was way up in the field and back to the southeast. And, anyway, he went down and finally, this is that corner I'm talking about. See how he's raising up? You can see the wire up in that corner. He'd stick his head up and get his antlers caught, and he'd just hang there looking around. But anyway, yeah, we we got him. He'd follow me in with some apples. He'd follow me. One winter, he got out because the snow got so deep. He jumped over the fence and came up the hatchery. And one of the guys looked out and said, "Ron, Frankie's out there." And he came in the doorway and looked through the glass at us. And I had to run down, get some apples, and then I took him down, shoveled out. Now these are my buffalo here, and see how much time I got on this. I guess I'll continue it on. And I raised buffalo for a number of years, and in fact, Gads, I had my bull. He was about, I think, 23 years old when he died, and he started off with the one bull. Kathy thought, my wife Kathy, she thought, this is my bull right there. She thought if she named them after flowers that they would be calm and docile. So she named the bull Pansy, Pansy, and the two cows were Daisy and Blossom. And I can't tell which cow's which, but you can tell him apart. He was pretty good size. But I had 5 acres there, and I always liked buffalo. And I couldn't hunt buffalo. I always wanted to go on a buffalo hunt. They had one down on the Henry Mountains, and because I worked for the Wildlife Resources, they wouldn't let us go on any hunts, and so never could put in. So I thought, heck with it, I'm going to buy some. So I bought them as yearlings, and had them for quite a few years. The cows, they died from different things. Don't know quite what, but they did die, and for a long time I had Pansy until, like I say, he was 23 years old. After he died, we had no idea, and how do you get a vet up to take care of buffalo? In fact, the cows, one of them, he came up, and because she was acting funny, I don't know if she'd had a calf, and anyway, her back was bad. She could hardly walk. Vet, he anesthetized her, and next day I checked her out, couldn't find anything. Next day I went out and she was dead. And so eventually the other one, I don't know, we were on vacation, came back and she died. She had a calf inside her too. And I had one other that I bought, not with these, the first three. But she lived for quite a few years, and then she died too. Pansy outlived all the cows. Finally just was left with him. And he died because, I don't know if I said it, but what happened is he had it in an inflamed tooth. And after he died and I hauled him away, I got his skull and all, and I could see where the bonehead, here he is, Pansy, the bonehead eroded his skull on the tooth line, jawline. It eroded away, and apparently he wasn't able to eat, and so basically he starved. But I had no idea what was going on with him. So this is my property here. Our son, he lives in this area where the buffalo are, right there. He's built a house. We were planning on building next to him, but town of Mantua wouldn't open it up for building. At the time I had retired, and so Trieste had moved up to Hamilton, Montana. Our daughter, Trieste, she phoned up one day and said, told us, why don't we just move up there? And so we did. We ended up coming up, and we're glad we moved. Now right in this area is where Paul's house is, and where my shed, that's half of my property. The other half, Paul has that now. The other half, that where that fence line is, this half right in here. I ended up selling it a few years back. So we've been in Hamilton, Montana now for 11 years. It was 2008 when we moved from Mantua. But between the buffalo here and Frankie and then the Spanish Mustangs, we're able to provide Mantua with some entertaining critters for quite a few years. I enjoyed these buffalo. We butcher them and eat them. I sold a few too. We killed and butchered the buffalo, and that was quite a job. I didn't like doing it. I really didn't. You get kind of attached to them, and it was kind of tough. No longer any buffalo or Spanish Mustangs, but there's still a lot of deer in Mantua. They get deer. I was told, our son told us, that they got a resident herd of deer in town besides the ones on the mountains too. They're all wild, but the town deer just are used to living in town. There's also a lot of turkeys. When we first moved to Mantua, there was white-tailed jackrabbits running around out there. And the fella next to us here, he had this mink farm and all. And, no more jackrabbits. Now there's, besides deer, there's more elk in the valley now, and also turkeys, lots of turkeys. In fact, they've started a hunt with bow and arrow hunt in town because there's so many turkeys there. We always provided plenty of room, space for our horses and the buffalo here. We never have ever kept them in a small closed-in area. When I was able to keep my Mustang or Spanish Mustangs at the hatchery, they had a good, maybe 25 acres or so that they could run on. And here, it's the winter time, I'd bring them over here. After I couldn't keep them at the hatchery anymore, I had a friend just out this direction, had a large field, I don't know how many acres in it, but it was large, that I took my horses over there. He let me keep them there. And then in the winter time, I'd bring them over here, keep the horses on one side, and the buffalo, actually this side is where I'd keep the horses, and the buffalo on the back side, north side, from where I'm standing. I was going to split this video up into two, but it's not that long, so I'll maybe go 30 minutes on it and then stop it. If it goes that long, I don't remember. I'm on top of the shed right there. Never had much trouble. Only one time bull buffalo broke out, and got out, and Kathy got a phone call from the school board telling us that the bus was down in front of our property and there was a buffalo out, and they didn't want to let any of the kids out, so Kirk Smith and we came over, and At that time, all I had was Pansy and a younger bull. The young bull was about 5 years old at that time. But we were able to get him back in. Pansy hadn't gone out there. He was just stayed in there. But I could always take a bucket of grain, and they'd always come to me with a bucket of grain. But I never handled him, or I didn't touch Pansy until I found him dead. All those years I had him. But that was a nice place. There's houses out there now, though. Mantua's really grown. So there's houses back there, and it's changing. Well, I think this is about enough. I think I've run out of things to talk about too, so I'm going to go ahead and end it right here.